Hello, everyone. Welcome to TD Board Gamers. My name is Dave.
And I'm Dirk.
And today we're going to look at the Enchantress. So the Enchantress came in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wave in the Trickster Takeover, which was a scenario pack that was designed by Michael Boggs, who was one of the original designers of Marvel Champions back when the game first started. And then he left the company, but he came back to do this product. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
And when
as a guest designer, I guess you'd go.
yeah. So when we had Con Heroes 2025, there was a panel with Tony, Frank, and Aaron, and then they mentioned that Michael Box came back to do a product, and that's what this one is. So um, So the first villain we have is the Enchantress here. So let's take a look at her setup.
Okay, so for the Enchantress here, we're going to grab Enchantress 1 and 2 if we're playing Standard, 2 and 3 if we're playing Expert. We're going to grab a Standard Encounter set and then one modular set. And in this case, they suggest Trickster Magic. You can look at, we've got another video that goes over all the different standard sets if you want to see some of the different options you could do it with it. That's really fun. Check that out. But you'll just grab one of those. And then to set up, we're going to set the Future of Despair side scheme aside. We're going to attach a random hypnotic gaze to each identity. Don't look at the backside. And then we're going to set each remaining hypnotic gaze aside. So obviously those hypnotic gazes will be different on the backside.
All right, yeah. So side 1B, prime real estate starts with 1 threat per player. We add 1 threat per player per turn. 6 threat per player threshold. Force interrupt. When a charm counter would be placed on the enchantment card in your play area, if your identity has the enthrall trait, place 1 threat here instead.
Okay.
All right, so this is the side scheme they told us to set aside.
All right, so this is the Future of Despair. So this one has 2 threat per player. While this is out, Enchantress gains Stalwart and cannot take damage. And whenever this one's revealed, you're going to place a charm counter on each enchantment card in play.
All right. Yeah, and then we actually have 5 hypnotic gazes. We'll go over each one. And like Dirk mentioned, the front is the same. And so you don't know which one's which. It's actually question mark, question mark.
Yeah, I actually like that they did that. So you can't memorize which one is which.
So this is the enchantment side. So permanent, your identity gains the defiant trade. If there are 5 more charm counters here, remove each charm counter here and flip the card. All right, so the first one we have.
All right, so the first one we've got here is the Trance of Envy. So this is a permanent attachment. Your identity gains the enthralled trait, and I do believe that that's the same with all of them.
Yeah.
But this one is whenever it's revealed, you're going to discard a card you control. Otherwise, you're going to discard the top 8 cards of your deck. And then as a forced action, you'll exhaust this card and then give Enchantress a face-down boost card and ready your identity.
Okay. The second one we have is the Trance of Greed. And yeah, the first part's the same, but then the when revealed is you are confused. Otherwise, take 2 damage. Forced action. So you have to do the forced action every single turn.
Yes.
So you exhaust this card and then draw a card, then play that card, paying its cost. If you cannot, take 1 damage. Now you have to do it during the player phase, but you could wait to the very end if you want. So you don't have to do it necessarily during your turn. But if you did it to the very end, right before we move, draw your new hand and move the player token. I mean, switch to the villain phase. Then you would obviously take a damage because you couldn't play a card unless it was 0 cost event or something.
And the important part here is whenever you start this action, you have to complete the action. So in other words, you're going to draw that card and then play it. Yes. So you cannot take any other actions in between.
Obviously. Okay.
All right, then we have the Trance of Pride. So top part is the same, but when revealed on this one is you're going to exhaust your identity. Otherwise, discard a random card from your hand.
Dirk will always.
I'm going to exhaust it.
Discard a random card.
And then the forced action on this one is you'll exhaust the card, place the threat on the main scheme, and remove 2 threat from a side scheme.
Unless you have a lot of always be running for Quicksilver, right?
Yeah.
Then, Trance of Sloth. When revealed, you are stunned. Otherwise, place 2 threat on the main scheme, and then you exhaust this card, and you heal a damage from the Enchantress, but then you get to draw a card, but then you have to discard a card.
Right. All right, and here we've got the Trance of Wrath. It's the last one, and I love the artwork on this one. But whenever this one's revealed, you're going to search the top 5 cards of the encounter deck for a card and reveal it. And then as a forced action, the forced action is you exhaust this card, take an indirect damage, and deal 2 damage to a minion.
Looks like something U.S. Agent did in
Yeah.
Falcon Winter Soldier show. All right. So then the Enchantress. So she's a standard 3-stage villain. So stage 1 here, we got 2 scheme, 1 attack, Asgard Mystic, force response. After Enchantress attacks you, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area, and she comes in with 15 hit points per player.
Okay. Phase 2 is she schemes for 2, she attacks for 2, steady and toughness. And whenever revealed in standard mode, put the set aside Future of Despair into play, and then place an additional 3 threat per player on it. And then as a force response, after Enchantress attacks you, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. And this one has 16 hit points per player.
Right. So so that's the side scheme we showed. Yeah, so that's coming in the second stage of
whichever one you're playing.
Because when we're playing expert, we would start with that, and it said standard mode specifically that you would bring it in. But if we're playing expert, of course, then when we defeat the first stage 2, we go to stage 3 here. 3 scheme, 2 attack, steady toughness. Now we put the set aside Future and Despair into play, then place an additional 4 per player threat on it. Force response. After Enchantress attacks you, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area.
All right, and then we've got the Sovereign Sorceress. So this is 2A. So when this one's revealed, if the Crown of the Enchantress attachment is in play, you're going to stun each identity. Otherwise, you're going to search for it, and you're going to reveal it. So it will come into play at that point.
Okay. Stage 2B starts with 2 threat per player, comes in with 1 threat per player per turn, 9 threat per player threshold, force interrupt. When a charm counter would be placed on the enchantment card in your play area, if your identity has the enthrall trait, place 1 threat here instead. So you could still gain charm counters. So it's doing something, when you gain charm counters because you've already under her gaze. So it's got to do something. If this stage is complete, the players lose the game.
Okay. All right, and then we've got the Crown of the Enchantress that we just mentioned. So this is, you attach it to Enchantress, and in expert mode, she gains Stalwart. As a force response, Enchantress schemes against you. You place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. And then as a hero action, each player exhausts their identity and takes 1 damage to discard this card. Notice that is each player, not you.
Yeah, so I like the fact, so of course, normally she only adds a charm counter when she attacks, but this makes it scheme as well.
Yep.
But the fun thing about this is you got to have the whole team cooperate to get rid of her adding charm counters when she schemes as well. So that's actually, I thought, was kind of fun. So that would be one of those things where it's like, okay, well, don't defend or use an ally to defend so we can all exhaust. But someone's like, I want to use my basic abilities, but it's like, yeah, we need to get rid of this because we're all getting charm counters. So you get a big discussion on people who've already flipped their hypnotic gazes and people who haven't yet,
All right, so then we've got Alluring Call. So this attachment, you're going to attach it to your identity. And as a force response, you're going to exhaust the card and place a charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. And you'll play a card in your hand, reducing its cost by 1. As an alter ego action, you exhaust this card to discard it. And if it comes out as a boost, you're going to reveal it.
All right. Then we got the Kiss of Temptation. This is a temptation attachment. Attach your identity. Forced action, so another forced action. Exhaust this card, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area to draw a card and then discard a card from your hand. And as an alter ego action, you could exhaust this card to discard this card. And as a boost, reveal this card. So it forces you to go down to get rid of it, or you are adding more charm counters and cycling through your deck a little bit, I guess.
All right, we've got the Love Concoction. So this is a temptation item. You're going to attach it to yourself. The forced on this one is you'll exhaust it, place a charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area, and ready your identity. So each of them does give you some kind of bonus, but you're adding more charm counters. So, but as an alter ego action, you can exhaust the card to discard it, and if it's a boost, it's revealed.
Right. which of course then you get a new forced action when it flips to the backside.
Yeah.
And if you're already enthralled, then of course you're adding a threat to the main scheme.
Yes.
So okay, so now we've seen this card with the Enchantress minion and the Valkyrie Nemesis set. So this is the same card. Seduced, attached to your identity. You cannot make basic attacks or play attack events. Alter ego action. Spend an energy mental resource to discard this card.
Yeah. So it'd be real fun if you turned up with all of that in one game. Yeah. Really high chances of getting seduced. All right, so then we've got 2 copies of the Enthralled Lackey. So this is an Enthralled minion with 3 hit points, schemes for 2, attacks for 1. They have Quick Strike, and as a force response, after they attack you, you're going to place a charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. And if it comes out as a boost, you're going to choose to either place that charm or confuse your identity.
All right. Then we got 2 copies of Enthralled Brute. 1 scheme, 2 attack, 4 hit points with a star. Brute Enthralled card. While this minion is engaged with a player whose identity has the Enthralled trait, this minion gets +3 hit points. And as a boost, choose either place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area or exhaust your identity.
Okay. All right, then we've got Cinder. So Cinder is an elite giant with 6 hit points. Schemes for 1, attacks for 4, and their attacks deal indirect damage. Whenever they're revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, then Cinder activates against you, and if you have the Enthralled trait, give Cinder a tough status card instead.
All right. Then we have Ulik. In expert mode, he gains toughness. Scheme is 0-3 attack, 5 hit points. He's a brute troll. Force response. After a player deals any amount of damage to Enchantress, Ulik attacks that player. And when defeated, Enchantress attacks the player who defeated Ulik and gets +1 to her attack for that attack.
Yeah, now it does say after a player deals any amount of damage to Enchantress. So, how does that happen if you're down and you've got minions? Does she still attack you?
After Ulik attacks that player.
She still attacks you, right?
Yeah. Well, oh. No, I don't think so, because you're down.
Okay.
It doesn't say even an alter ego, so.
Alrighty, then we have 2 copies of the Law of Attraction. So this side scheme has 2 threat. Whenever it's revealed, you're going to discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until an enthralled minion is discarded and reveal that minion. It has an acceleration token on it, and if it comes out as a boost, you're going to place a charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area.
All right. Then we got 2 copies of a side scheme that has 4 threat and some symbol Dirk doesn't know. When defeated, each player whose identity has the Defiant trait places 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in their play area. Each player whose identity has the Enthralled trait discards a card they control, and it has a bang.
Yeah, bang.
Which is also called
Crisis.
Wow, he remembers. Dang it. We'll have to wait till next week, I guess, guys. All right.
All right, so then we've got the Do My Bidding treachery. So whenever this one's revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, you're going to choose one of the following. And if your identity has Enthralled, you're going to do both of them in any order. But the first option is search the encounter deck and discard pile for a minion and reveal it. Second option is search the encounter deck and discard pile for a side scheme and reveal it.
All right. Then we got 2 copies of Magical Restraints. When revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, choose one. If your identity has the Enthralled trait, do both in any order. So there's a couple of treacheries that kind of do this. So you are stunned, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area, or you are confused, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area, or both if you are enthralled.
So that's two if you're enthralled. All right, then we've got 2 copies of the Spell Blast Treachery. So this one, again, if you're Defiant, choose one. If you're enthralled, you choose both in any order, or you do both in any order. But the first option is Enchantress schemes with +1 scheme in expert mode, or she attacks with +1 attack in expert mode.
Or both.
Or both, yeah.
All right, and then the final card from her set is called Spell Shards. When revealed, take 3 indirect damage. If your identity took any amount of damage this way, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. And as a boost, place 1 charm counter in the enchantment card in your play area. So, needless to say, you could try to delay the hypnotic gaze as long as possible, but at some point, you are going to become enthralled. All right. So there was a modular set that came in the pack, and this is actually for both scenarios, but we'll go over it here for the Enchantress. So it's all about Enchantress enslaving or I guess enthralling in this case some different villains or beefier minions, and so they are like mind controlled or under a spell or whatever you want to say, and
We'll see
yeah,
what happens.
we'll see what happens.
All right, so the first one we've got here is Absorbing Man. So he is a brute, elite, and enthralled. He's got 7 hit points. He schemes for 2. He attacks for 1. He has guard and victory 1. And then while he's engaged with you, his attack gets plus X, where X is the printed cost of the highest cost card you control. Whenever he's defeated, the player who defeated him puts the set aside Absorbing Man ally into play under their control.
Okay, and it's a victory.
Yes.
So
Yep, said that.
okay, so then the Absorbing Man ally, he's got cost 3. There's a cost is because if he has victory 0, but if you have to discard an ally you control, it can get into your deck. So if you want to play
anything that references costs,
yeah,
we'll reference it.
Right. So one thwart with 2 consequential, 1 attack with 2 consequential, 3 hit points. He's defiant. He's linked to the Absorbing Man minion, so that means you set it aside in the beginning of the game. Victory 0, and it does not count against your ally limit. Interrupt. When Absorbing Man attacks or thwarts, exhausts an upgrade or support you control, Absorbing Man gets plus X to that power for this use, where X is that card's printed cost to a maximum of plus 3. Now, a great candidate for this is the conditionings, that gives you plus 1 to a stat and 3 hit points, because it doesn't matter if that's exhausted or not. So since that card costs 3, you're getting plus 3 to his stats.
Yep.
So that's a really good card to use with Absorbing Man ally.
All right, so the next minion we've got is Titania. She is brute, elite, and enthralled as well. She schemes for 1, she attacks for 3, steady and victory 1, and her attacks gain overkill. Whenever she's defeated, of course, that player is going to grab the set-aside Titania ally.
All right, so the Titania ally, now that she's not mind control, she thwarts a little better. Costs 4, 2 thwart, 3 attack with 2 consequential on the attack, 5 hit points, defiant, linked to the Titania minion, victory 0, does not count against your ally limit, that part's the same. But Titania's attacks gain overkill and piercing.
Yep, so she picks up piercing whenever she's no longer enthralled.
Yeah.
All right, the next one we've got here is Whirlwind. So he's enthralled elite. He is not brute, though. He schemes for 2, he attacks for 1, has quick strike, victory 1. And then after he attacks, you take 1 indirect damage for each side scheme in play. And of course, when defeated, you're going to grab the Whirlwind ally and put him into play with that player who defeats him.
And the Whirlwind ally costs 4, 1 thwart, 0 attack, 3 hit points, defiant, again linked to the minion, victory 0. When Whirlwind attacks, remove 1 threat from each scheme in play. For each threat removed this way, Whirlwind gets plus 1 attack for that attack. So he's kind of like the Jessica Jones ally in a way.
Yeah, but it doesn't say remove 1 threat from each scheme limit. So right. If you happen to have several out, he could attack have a pretty decent attack there.
You got you're playing Goblin Mutagen formula and you got 8 side schemes.
Or the Red House.
If you haven't been cleaning that up, yeah.
Yep. All right, then the last one we've got is Zach. So he is enthralled elite with 6 hit points, schemes for 1, attacks for 2, retaliate 1, and victory. And then whenever he's revealed, you're going to discard the top 4 cards of your deck, and for each printed energy resource discarded this way, you'll take an indirect damage. Of course, the when defeated is you'll grab the Zach minion or the Zach ally, put him into play.
And the Zach ally is going to be the upcoming Wonder Man's best friend.
Yeah.
Costs 3. 3 thwart, 2 consequential, 1 attack, 4 hit points, defiant, the link to victory 0, that part's the same. But after he enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for a card with a printed energy resource and add it to your hand. Yes, please.
All right, and then next we've got the Trickster Tango side scheme. So this one starts with 4 threat. While it's out, the villain gains Stalwart. And it comes with 2 acceleration tokens. If it comes out as a boost, if the activation's an attack, the activating character will gain overkill.
All right. Then we got the Puppet Master. It's a side scheme, 2 threat. In expert mode, the scheme gains hinder 1 per player. Allies cannot thwart this scheme or defend against the villain's attack, and it has a hazard. And then the final card.
All right, and the final thing we've got here is the love triangle. So you'll attach this to an ally you control. Otherwise, the card gains surge. The attached ally cannot attack the villain or defend against the villain's attacks. So it doesn't say anything about minions, but the villain. And as an alter ego action, you can exhaust the attached ally and spend a mental resource to discard this card.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so the Enchantress was pretty fun. And I liked the the Trickster magic module as well. So it was kind of fun getting some interesting minions that turn into allies. So and the whole hypnotic gaze, that was pretty interesting, and trying to see how many turns you can delay it from flipping.
Yeah.
You know, but it's inevitable.
Yes, it is.
So yeah. So anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe.
And if you want to see more content by us, go and hit that notification bell down there, and you'll get alerts whenever we post new videos. All right, see you.